Welcome back. We have lots of breaking news out of Washington. Let's get down to Eamon Javers for the details. Eamon?
Kelly, there's a lot going on here. The first thing is that a federal judge up in Boston has now issued a temporary injunction blocking that so-called fork in the road effort by Elon Musk and the Doge team to offer a deferred resignation to federal employees in September. The deadline for accepting that offer was supposed to be today, but now the federal judge is saying that at least until Monday, that offer is going to be suspended, giving both sides in a lawsuit over the issue a chance to marshal their arguments and the judge a chance to hear them all out. There was a lawsuit filed by federal employee unions, and the unions were arguing that this was not only unfair but illegal under what's called the Anti-Deficiency Act, which means that the federal government can't obligate any funds that haven't been appropriated by Congress. The judge saying he's going to take his time to look through all those issues. So this will be held up at least until Monday, and federal employees are now expected to get a notice from their employers telling them that the fork in the road so-called offer is now on hold, I guess is the best way to put it, until Monday. Separately, NBC News is reporting that about 60,000 people have already accepted that offer. Unclear what this new temporary injunction means for those folks, but at least some interest among the federal workforce to take that offer. And then thirdly, I just want to update you on a Wall Street Journal article that just posted a couple of minutes ago. The White House is preparing an order, the Journal reports, for thousands of federal health workers to be laid off. The Wall Street Journal is saying that the White House is working on an executive order to fire thousands of U.S. Department of Health and Human Services workers. Under the order, the FDA, Centers for Disease Control, and other health agencies would have to cut a certain percentage of employees. So we'll wait for confirmation from the White House on that, Kelly. But clearly the efforts to pare back the federal workforce are moving ahead on some fronts, even as the federal judge now is issuing this temporary injunction, holding off the overall fork in the road effort to cull the federal workforce down to a much smaller size. Back over to you.
To put it differently, Eamon, we could say there's nothing standing in the way of layoffs, although maybe the union to some extent. So if they don't allow the buyout offer to move forward, then we could see more layoffs as a result.
Yeah, we could, although I would imagine the unions will fight those layoffs, too. Remember, this is not like a private company, Kelly. There's federal civil service protections for individual employees. Those rules have been in place for over a century, and they're there to prevent presidents from coming into office and then staffing the federal government with all their supporters and friends and allies and donors and stuff like that. That was a big problem in the 1800s. They stopped doing that, gave federal workers these federal civil service protections, which made it very hard for a president to fire individual workers and replace them with political people. So traditionally, only the top people inside the federal government change over in every administration. Those are the so-called political people inside the federal administration.
Right.
Under them is the vast civil service. Those are the career people, and those always stay. This now is an effort to get at that vast number of career employees, and you're going to see, I think, a lot of fight from the federal employee unions to try to push back on all of that.
No, that history is illuminating because it's ironic that the careerism has become a political fight when it was established to avoid political favoritism.
Right.
In the first
it was originally
place.
a good government effort, right, to get rid of cronyism and corruption in government.
Yeah.
Now there are people who say that's gone too far and you can't fire federal employees easily enough, and it's time for an update on that. But these sort of vast sweeping things that Elon Musk and the Doge team are considering are going to run into some legal hurdles, and you're seeing now the unions and others fighting back with these lawsuits.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the courts are going to be determinative here about how far the Doge team is able to go in paring back the federal workforce, and then also how many people simply decide they want to take the offer. As we said, NBC is reporting 60,000 people have already said yes. That's not huge relative to the size of the federal government, but it does indicate some people are saying, okay, I'll hang it up for 8 months of free pay.
I've heard many are a little spooked by some of these questions about how exactly this would work. Eamon, appreciate it very much. Eamon Javers in Washington.